Hi, welcome back. Today we are going to add obstacles to our map. But before we start, let's go to fix the problem we left during the last video. Also, there is a new issue that we need to solve because I didn't have time to fix it in the last video because time was running out a lot. So we had to do it today. Sorry, even today will be a little bit longer video, so I'll try to do a little bit as fast as possible. First of all, let's see the problem we had the last time, just to as a reminder. So basically, when one player has one card in the field and one in the hand, is able to do something weird. So first, I need to do this play here. As you can see, I can move, and then the turn pass to the player number 2. But even if it's the turn of player number 2, I can still drag the card of player number 1, and then when I leave it, it goes on the hand of the player number 2. So the first thing we're going to fix is this one here. So we go here on our code, and we go, today we're going to work only on our event sheet board, so we can close the others. And we go on line 27. For me, it's where basically we pass the turn. And we add a new sub event where we check the card, and then we compare instance variable, player number, if it's different from turn. I just type everything, then I will explain you. Then if it's in this way, card, set drag and drop, disable. So basically, every time we pass the turn, automatically, if the cards are not the cards of the player that is currently playing, we have just changed the turn here, so we already passed the turn as a value in the variable. And therefore, if the card, the player number is different from turn, then for all this card we disable the drag and drop. And let's go to test now quickly. Let's put 2 cards. And this player can move. Then the turn of this player, and I cannot anymore drag this. So the first issue is solved. Now let's go to the second issue. The second issue is that where basically, if I display here now, they can take a card. When this player move one of his cards that is on the field, he shouldn't be able to do anything else with the other cards. But now I still be able to drag one card in the battlefield. So we don't want to do this. Also, I can't move anymore this card. So what we want is that when we start to act with one of our cards that is in the battlefield, we can do anything else with all the other cards. And therefore, that's why we can't do anything anymore, and we're going to fix it. This fix here, basically, it's still in the event sheet board as usual. Line 41 now should be. Basically, it's all the block where we do the check when with the mouse we click on the time map. Sorry, today I did it tongue twisted. And then here, when we check if it's possible for the player to move again the card. So basically, if the movement left is higher than 0, then we need to add a new sub event. And we go on system, and then we type pick all object card. And after we pick all the cards, we say again card, set drag and drop, disable. So basically, if the card can move again at a time, we are not passing the turn, therefore we are not doing the check for enable disable a card as we saw before. But we still want to disable all the other cards that are in the game. Basically, we cannot use the card of the opponent. Also, we cannot use anymore our cards in terms of drag and dropping. So with this system pick all cards, basically I go to reset all the filter I've done here with this card here. So it's not working anymore, the selection of this specific card, but again I'm going to apply all this, the action they're going to follow to all the cards we have in the game. And therefore, I disable everything. We don't care about the cards that we are going to move now, because the card is actually doing the action, is moved by the click of the mouse. So not with the drag and drop, so it's quite fine. Okay, let's save and try. Take 2 cards, put one on the field, pass the turn. Then with this turn, I just move only 1 step, and I can't drag this anymore. So that's quite fine, it works fine. I can continue and move this, and the turn is passed. So this is fixed. We can go back to our software and then prepare to do the new things that is adding the obstacles to the map. So I'm going to create a new function at the event. At the end, add function. On function, I call it roll die. And then I just put a comment, parameter 0 equals type of roll, and make a new sub event. Function compare parameter 0 if parameter 0 is equal to map. Then function. This is a new thing of the function, so it's just a returning value. We're going to explain this in 1 second. Set return value to floor random 0, 4 close parentheses. Okay, so first thing is I'm going to explain this in a few minutes for the construct tree users, because it's slightly different, not much different, but just to make sure that you understand well. Now, first of all, for the person who use construct 2, as usual, I take note here for the parameter I'm passing when I call the function, and then if the parameter 0 is equals to map, basically I do this new thing that is a set return function. Basically, when the function is called, from the place where the function is called, it retrieve a value, it return a value, sorry, and this value, it can be used directly. So rather than have a variable where I stock these values here, that when I do any kind of operation, like in this case, get a random number from 0 to 3, because the usual 4 is not considered, and then save on the variable, and then use the variable just to bring this value from one point to another of the code, I just get this return value, and we see this in a few minutes. And basically, I save the space. I save also the action to create a new variable, and every time I can call this function, I can assign this in different way or different point of the code. So it's another way to use the function that's actually very useful. I think it will be useful for you as well. Now I'm going to create a new function, and this function is called create map. And then I make a for. This time we want to put a name on this loop, so we call this column. It goes from 1 to 6. This loop need to have a name, because there will be another loop inside this loop, and therefore we need to specify which value of the loop index we are going to pick, otherwise it might get some unexpected result. Now I get the values from 1 to 6 is because in the game we want to select the column of this time map from the first one, from column number 1, sorry, this column number 0, we don't care because it's starting point, to column number 6, and we skip number 7 because again it's starting point of the opening player. So we want just to add obstacles in this gray area, not in the starting point. Therefore that's why we do from 1 to 7. 1 to 6, sorry. And now we go back on our for here, and we do a new sub event. We'll just copy this. And rather than column, this time I call it a row to make sure that it's different. And then in this loop that I call row, I just do a different number. I start from 0 because the first value of the row is 0. And then the second value is basically the result of the function that I'm going to call now. So to call the function inside this place where normally we can just inject a value, if I call the function from here, I get the return value that is the result of this roll of die in the function roll die. Therefore I have to do function dot call to call the function, then I open bracket, quotation, roll die, close this, a comma, and then after the comma, any value I'm going to pass is the parameter in order. So I'm going to pass parameter 0 as map, and that's it. If I want to add more parameter, let's say number, of course I can say number 5, and if I want to pass third parameter, for parameter number 2, I will use maybe value turn. In this case, I would have parameter 0 is roll die, parameter map, parameter 0 is map, parameter 1 is 5, and parameter 2 is turn. When I call, of course, the function roll die. But anyway, in our case, we need only map. So this was just to explain you. And that's what we're going to do. Basically, in this function, we loop the function from column 1 to 6. And then we do this loop. We do another loop from 0 to any value that can be from 0 to 3. And therefore, that's a little bit tricky, but I think you will be able to understand soon. And first thing I want to do before I forget it is just go on the line number 1 on the starter layout. At the end of this block here, I just call the function create map. So basically I want that the map is created on the very beginning when the game starts, and therefore now we can keep working on this side here. So if you have a construct tree, how this is done, I just did a quick sample file here. Basically, first of all, you need, in this case I have a layout with just text. First of all, we need to create a function. In this case I call roll die. When you create a function, that I cannot add anymore, you have to select the return type. Normally it's not used, but you can select it and use it as a type, number, or boolean. In this case I want to return a number, therefore I just select number as a return type. And as usual, for the parameter I create a parameter, in this case string, and this string is basically what I'm going to pass as a parameter map. So we're going to check as a variable, as usual. You know, in the construct tree, you don't have a function.parameter 0, 1, or whatever. You have actually a parameter become a variable. And therefore, here I just check a simple compare variable. If the variable type is equals to map, because normally what we ask to pass, then you do the action. And then, as usual, function set return value floor and so on. Then here on the starter layout, I call the function to set the text to functions.roll die, that is the name of the function, and then I put on the bracket and then the quotation marks map, that is the first parameter I want to pass, and therefore that's why we got the comparison with map here. And I get as a result anything between 0 to 4. Now let's test quickly. In this case I got 2, but if I refresh I might get something else. and in this case 0. So that's it for construct tree. Basically it's the same thing. I change a little bit how the things are displayed, but is the conceptually is the same. Now let's go back to our program here and let's see what we do after we have done this sub event that goes from 0 to function call for the roll die. And then we as an action we're going to do time up set tile at the 0. We just use as a parameter loop index, and that's why we need to specify now column, because we are referring to this first loop and not the second one here. For the tile y we don't put any values, we leave it at 0. And from the values tile we just use 3, we state normal. I just let you see quickly why we're doing this. Okay, here now it's a little bit small, the number I understand, but it's written 0 because the first tile number 1, 2 and 3. That's why we're going to use the tile here 3 and the state normal because we don't want it rotate or flip it and so on. That's right. We leave 0 on the tile y because we're going to change this shortly, but I want just to test the game as it is now, just to show what are we doing, so you get a little bit of information, a little bit of time. I save, and then when we have our loop, it goes from 1 to 6. As you can see, a building is created on top of each column. This because the y we left to 0, if you remember, so it doesn't know exactly which location we want to put the building, so only 0 because that's what we set. And the tile is number 3 because the building we created a long time ago, if you remember, on the tile map. So now going back here, we're going to change this tile y information, and we're going to add this change this as function dot call, and again roll die, so as we said before, but this time rather than ask for map, we're going to pass the parameter row, and we capital R, and we close in this way. So now we go back here inside the roll die function, we duplicate this line, rather than map we change this to row, and the values go from 0 to 7. 0 to 7, I remember that 7 never come as a result, and this because we have rows that goes from 0 to 6. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's why 0 to 7. Okay, at this point we go back here and we can save. Yeah, just let's test. So I'll just show you the difference now. As you can see, now we got a different result. So there is always at least one building on each column, because with 0 as a result of the random die roll is still one loop, because the loop goes from 0 to 0 at least, so it does the creation of the building at least once, and the maximum value is 4. In this case we don't have 4 buildings that have been created, but of course it can happen that we have more buildings. So if I refresh the page, let's see, in this case we have 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings. So as you can see now, this game, let's have a look. I can put the cars with my robots, and I can move on the building, but we want to add the building as an obstacle. Of course we are going to do this in 1 second. But another important thing to consider is that This is just for me one example to show how to make this, but of course if you want to have a deep look into the randomization creation of a random map, if you were interested, let me know. I might create a special video about that, because the issue here that in this case is no problem. There is a way to go from one side to the other side of the screen, even if it's only one, but there is this way here. But let's say this building here, rather than be here, would have been here, then the road would be closed and the robots could actually go from one side or the other of the screen. That will be a little bit of a problem for us, but of course this is just a simple tutorial. I'm not going to create the whole game in a perfect way, but keep this in mind when you create a map of this kind. So I go back to the program now. Now, to limit the movement of the robot, it's happened when basically we click on the tile and the robot moves on the tile. It's easy as just go on this line here when we click on the tile map and adding a new condition. So basically when we click on the tile map, we do another check, and let's see if the tile has a building, then don't do the action. So basically if there is no building, you can move. If there is building, just don't put the selector on that tile, and if the selector doesn't go on that tile, of course the robot can move. So we go on the tile map and we say compare tile at, and tile x equals the usual formula, tile map dot position to tile of mouse dot x. You know already very well now, you should at least, after all these tutorials about these coordinates. And then we replace the x with the y. Wrong line. Make sure to change both, otherwise nothing happens. And comparison, we say if it's not equal to 3, that is the building tile, then do the rest. Let's have a look. Save. Okay, interesting map, this one. So as I said before, the player can go from one side to another, from one side of the screen to the other, but it's okay for our test. So in this case I put the cards here, and if this one wants to go in this building, there is no way I can go. So I have to go a different direction and then I can move inside. Same thing for the other robot here, nothing I can do, I need to go around. So this is what I want to show you for today. I'm going to add something else. Basically I've created, I don't know if you already noticed from my video, but I created a new template that is a map editor, and who is interested to give it to the player the opportunity to edit the map, so to play always the customized map as they want. That's a good chance for you if you're interested in look at the template. Of course it's for sale and it's more advantage than something that we've done in the previous tutorial. I'm actually going to show you a little bit of the video. As you can see, I use the base of the previous tutorial as to create this template, but on this side here we have more advanced editor where you can have the full tile map. You can choose to create as you want the game. Of course there is also the feature that we did in the previous tutorial where you have a limitation depending on the tiles already down on the map. Also here I'll talk about destroying the tile and so on. I will leave in the description the link to the video and to the template page if you are interested in buying it. And here there is also the option for you to save and load the map as an external file. So basically if you have working on construct that either construct 2 or construct 3. You cannot work with more than one person on the same file, but in this way you might have one person dedicated to create the code, while another person maybe is taking care about the art and creating the level. And therefore you can have a little tool, you can create a little software for the artist, where the artist can create a map, and then it can of course save this information on a file, and then when is the time ready, the programmer can just load the file on the game, and that's it. So we basically working at the same time on the game. We save a little bit of time. Also, it's useful, as I said before, for give it to the player the option to create the map. Of course, you can or not give you can, if you want to give an option to save external file, or maybe you can save internal file. It's up to you. But anyway, if you want to have a look, you can go there on the page and see more what is possible to do. And this is a basic version. I'm going to make a new, more advanced one, but I will take a little bit of time when I have a little bit of free time. So that's it for now. If of course, if you like this video, please click like and share this video around. Especially share around is very useful for me because I don't have much time to share, you know already. And I take a chance to thank you, all of you that follow me this tutorial until now, and especially the person that supports me on Patreon. If you are interested in joining me on Patreon, we're not only talking about this the development of this tutorial, and of course you can participate, but also we talk about other things, like if you have other project you want to participate together, maybe create a game or something like that, let me know, we can chat about that. So I will just leave you again the link in the description of this video, and then the template page, and I see you again in the next video. Bye.